Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the NTI PodTalk. This is a platform where we talk to people in the NTI community, around the NTI community. We talk about food, nutrition, health. And today we are talking with Jacqui Gabel, who has so many ways in which she has been part of the NTI community. Most recently, she is a chef in our Natural Food Chef program. She's one of the chef instructors. So we're going to talk about that. But also, Jacqui is a graduate of NTI. She graduated from our NFC, our chef program, as well as from our nutrition therapist program. And Jacqui has just been involved in the NTI community for many years. And so I'm excited to be having this conversation and learn a little bit about Jacqui's path to get here. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. So Jacqui, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So I guess we'll start with your current main role here is as a chef instructor in our NFC program, but you also are a chef in your own profession. That's your business. So what made you want to become a chef? Where's your passion for cooking and wanting to be a chef? And where did that come from?
Well, it's been a very long and winding path to get here. And I would say that my initial reason for going into cooking, I was doing something completely unrelated before in my 20s and after college. And my reason for going into it then was likely similar to my reason now, but I didn't have a way of articulating it the way that I would say it now. And so I was doing something that made me very unhappy and stressed at the end of the day, and that I wasn't inspired to do. And that for me just did not sit right. I went through a lot of soul searching in my 20s when I was working in a stressful industry. And through that soul searching process, I realized that what I really love to do is feed people and to be around a table connecting with others, whether that's in a different country or with close friends or someone I'm just meeting. I saw the power of the connection around a table through food. And I loved being a part of that process, not just eating, but also providing that food and cooking with others. So I had no idea how I was going to get there. And I explored probably not every single, but lots of possibilities of how I might do cooking for a job. I looked into culinary schools in New York. I volunteered on farms. I did dinner parties for friends. I was constantly cooking and just exploring different routes and realms, while also making the decision to quit my job and go into education. So it was during my time living in Korea when I really honed in on nutrition and cooking and combining the two. And I was going through my own health challenges and sort of observing and watching how other people were struggling with their health choices and how food really had an impact on that. And something just clicked for me. And I knew that I would study nutrition and find a way to wrap that into this career in the culinary industry. So I chose to apply to grad school. I was going to go for dietetics in Seattle. And I spent 2 years preparing for that application and that process. But there was nothing about that was truly inspiring again. And I found the NFC program at NTI, and it just felt so aligned. And again, I didn't know what I wanted to do other than to feed people in a meaningful way. But that's what brought me here. And that's what initially brought me to the NFC program. And now I would say why I continue to do this is because I feel and believe very strongly that the act of eating is one of the most powerful acts of respect that we can do for our bodies, for the earth, for each other. It's such a profound act of self-care and self-love. And I feel like I just strongly want to be a part of that conversation and to inspire and encourage others to choose to choose self-love in the way of eating that really shows reverence for their bodies.
Wow, that
So,
is that is amazing. Truly, that is amazing. That is so beautifully said. And wow, very, very profound. So, well, I am thrilled that you found NTI. So, I'm not for sure what your path here was. Did you come to NTI and first do the chef program and then the nutrition program? I don't really remember how those two, what the process of those two was. Which one did you do first?
I did the chef program first,
Okay.
and then I moved right into doing
Okay.
the MNT program.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, so all of your passion, your drive really created the need for you to do both programs together. Now, not everyone has to do both programs, obviously. Our two programs stand alone, are, individual in their own. But you chose to do both. So can you talk about how you are using, obviously you're cooking for people, you're a personal chef, so you're using your chef skills every single day. How are you integrating your nutrition knowledge and your skills and training that you got in nutrition into your cooking?
I would say I wanted to do the nutrition program, the 2-year nutrition program. Well, for me, it took 3 years, but I wanted to get a better and a deeper understanding of how nutrition really did affect physiology, so that I could understand when a client was referred to me or came to me, and if they had a certain health condition, I really wanted to understand how to use food to help them specifically with whatever body system was giving them a challenge.
Yeah.
So while I strictly focus on the food and creating menus and food that supports whatever my client is experiencing, I'm not necessarily giving them any nutrition advice, but I wanted to understand that. I wanted to understand if they came and say they were focusing on a long-term cognitive health protocol. I wanted to understand exactly why. I knew I would study it on my own anyway. So for me, it could either take 20 years of self-study, which the process is never ending, and you're always learning and you're always studying and looking into it. But I wanted that structure, and so that I could get the information within that time frame, and not really highly researched information, so that I could just better understand what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's not necessary, but for me, I have this insatiable curiosity about why our bodies do what they do, and also the more that I learn, the more respect that I have for my own body, and its miraculous way of keeping me vibrant and healthy, and when stuff comes up, how I can support it so that it can do what it wants to do, which is just keep me alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I am grateful that all of your curiosity and your drive to want to learn brought you to NTI, because we're so happy to have you here as part of our school. So you, as I said, are one of the chef instructors in our NFC program. Can you talk about that experience and what kind of rewards you get in teaching in that program, how your interactions with the students, how does that fulfill your or something in you? Obviously you have a desire to want to teach. How is that fulfilled in this process of teaching in our chef program?
Oh man, well, for one, it inspires me to consistently learn more, not only about myself, but about nutrition in general. And it keeps me moving forward in that sense. And also it provides a space for me to share what I've learned, which I love to do. I really, really enjoy the process of watching individual students come in with maybe a little idea of what they might want to do. But what I find we're all looking for is that confidence and that permission to just go after what we were made to do. And that's what I think the NFC program just provides, and NTI as a whole. It's this incredible community of people who feel called to serve in this way. So first of all, I mean, you get to be in class with people who love to be around food for 8 hours a day, 3 times a week. That in and of itself is so fulfilling. We cook beautiful food. We learn from each other. We're all coming from different backgrounds, and it's just that exchange of knowledge. Everyone has something to teach everybody else. And you know, I can't tell you exactly. I don't know what it means to be a teacher. I've been in education for 5 years now, but it's still a learning process for me. And at the end of it, to see the students and these people just transform and come more into themselves, that to me, to have some small part of that is really, really remarkable. And humbling, so humbling.
Absolutely, yeah. We talk about both of our programs, but really the NFC program, because it is more concentrated in the amount of time that the students are here, and it's 3 days a week, and it's very concentrated. We talk about that program as being very transformational, and we say that to the students up front. We tell them that this is a transformational experience that you will have, and at the beginning, it's truly just words, but by the end of the term, you can really see it in their faces, in their lives, the way they talk about, their experience and what they want to now do with their newfound skill and their newfound passion. And that transformation truly does happen, and now is embodied in, really, quite honestly, a new person by the time they graduate.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were in Korea. You were teaching in Korea. Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly.
I went there to teach initially, to teach kindergarten, and I stayed because I was writing for a webzine, an English speaking webzine. And they asked me to come on and be the food editor. So that was my excuse to stay and to live as a tourist and write and study the food of Korea, and travel a little bit around the surrounding countries. And that was a transformative experience too. And I'm so grateful because it exactly made sense. I didn't quite know why I was taking that step to move there when I was doing it. I just felt called to do it, but it led me to want to study nutrition through some challenges, some health challenges. And so, we look back and all these steps make sense, even if they don't to us at the time we're making them.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you really experience the Korean cooking? Like, is that something that you bring to your teaching here at NTI, is the skills and things that you learned about Korean cooking?
I could have stayed and studied for decades because it's just such a deeply rooted, beautiful culture of food that they have in Korea. So what the things that I did learn and that I was privileged to learn from friends that I made, and they invited me to their homes and with their families, it definitely left a lasting impact on me. And the most important of those impacts, I think, was just this concept of communal eating, and of how everything is shared, and it's not individual, it's collective. When you go out to eat, everybody's eating from the same plates and picking up your plate and feeding each other and wrapping food in lettuce and giving you a bite. I mean, it's really, really beautiful. And so that is something that I tried to just embody and live, because I think it's so great. But in terms of, as part of the curriculum at NTI, we do a day of learning to cook a couple of Korean recipes and kind of peppering things that I've learned, and I do love to teach a little bit about that and what I learned while I was over there. And students love it. They love learning about cuisines of different places and
Right. And learning about the spices and the different flavor mixings and, you know, pairings of spices and those kinds of things, I imagine is something that you bring to your teaching. Now I just forgot the other question I was going to ask about that. Anyway, I think that our students really appreciate this, the way you bring your knowledge to your instruction with them, because they see that they're getting something that has more of an international feel to it. And I think they really appreciate that. So do you have particular foods or things that you really focus on in your life? Well, actually, now I remember what I was going to say. I know that you are very much about vegetables and figuring out ways to use vegetables in unique ways and use the whole plant and those kinds of things. And is that something that is that part of the Korean cooking cuisine as well? Yeah.
the variety of greens that's used in Korean cooking is unlike anything. I mean, it's incredible. You just, and especially around springtime, you go to the markets and there's just a huge variety of greens, and it's all about seasonal cooking. So I think I love to do that, partly because when I was younger, I was the pickiest eater. I did not like vegetables at all. I wouldn't eat them, and probably because they came from a can and they weren't good, or they were overboiled, you know. So when I started to learn that vegetables could be delicious depending on how you cook them, it was a whole new language to learn and a whole new world to explore. So yeah, I think we're starting to, as a culture, and just we're starting to learn the benefits of all the different colors that nature gives us in vegetables, which I love. I think it's so great. But yeah, I do love my veggies.
Yeah, that's great. Veggies are important, and they're a big part of eating a nutrient-dense diet. So.
Well, they're important for you too. You grow them in your garden, and
I do. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. A lot of them. Yeah, everything is like overgrown right now, and I've got so much lettuce. I don't know what to do with all my lettuce. I could use some advice on how to use up all my lettuce.
salads, lots of salads.
Yeah.
Or set up a farm stand.
Yes, or that. Do you have recipes where you cook lettuce? Is that such a thing where you cook lettuce, or is that not something that people do?
You can stir fry iceberg lettuce. You can stir fry lettuce. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. I think it's I haven't done it very often, but I've seen it done for sure. Different greens. I think they're most delicious raw though. And you can grill them. Grilled romaine is super delicious with a little lemon. So good. But yeah, just pick it out of the garden. If I were in your garden, pick it out of the garden, just start chewing on it.
Yeah. Oh, I do that while I'm watering. I harvest and snack out of the garden, but seriously, my lettuce is like way overgrown.
I wonder if you could pickle lettuce. I've never tried that.
Do what?
I've heard of doing that. Pickling lettuce.
Oh, I don't know. And I don't know.
Make it a little.
Yeah. The texture might not be as pleasing. All right. So you mentioned that you looked around at different culinary programs. You were looking at, you mentioned programs in New York. So what kind of advice would you give to people who are looking for a culinary program, whether they end up here at NTI? What kinds of things should they be looking for? And, you know, what were your metrics that you were using to identify the quality of the program and credibility of the program?
For me, I think it just took more time to really get straight about what I wanted to do for work.
Okay.
So, which I think is, and how I wanted to make an impact with it, which I think is the most important thing. Think about what you want to do after this. Because chances are, no matter which program that you go into, you're going to be able to do what you want to do if you make it happen. You have to make it happen. That's the thing. There's no guarantee, unless you want to work in a restaurant and you're sure, I want to work in a Michelin star restaurant, or, you know, I want to open my own restaurant or whatever, then maybe go to the NFC program will certainly prepare you for that. And maybe if you're definitely sure you want to do that, a 2-year culinary program might be your better option if that's for sure what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, think about the experience that you want to have as well. The NFC program offers such a different experience from what I know talking to people that have gone to traditional culinary school. It's very much like a family. It's super supportive. It's a concentrated program. It's shorter. It obviously focuses on the health and how you can achieve optimal health using ingredients, reverence for the earth. So if that resonates with you, this is the program. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to look a little bit deeper into why you want to cook and feed people, this is a wonderful option. So yeah, I would say really, really focus on the kind of experience that you want to have, and know that you will get to where you want to go no matter what you choose. And also know it's going to take a lot of self-starting, as any art form does. You know, it's really up to us and what we make of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing I think is important that differentiates NTI, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we really put a lot of priority on the quality of the ingredients.
Oh yeah.
Where I don't know that is true for other programs. It's kind of like, you know, cook it so it tastes good and looks good, but there's not really a lot of emphasis on the quality of the ingredients and how those ingredients are actually going to influence, you know, body function. So, and that's something we definitely talk about.
No, you're exactly right. And also, this is a way of cooking and learning to cook that feels good, where when you're done eating it, you actually feel vibrant. And what's the point of eating if you're not going to feel vibrant? It might look beautiful and it might taste beautiful, but if you don't feel good after you're eating it, I mean, there's like a dead stop there. So this program and this way of eating is thinking about it really holistically, and a lot of thought goes into every single ingredient that goes into the whole of the dish, which is very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, this has been a really fun discussion. Got to learn some things about you, which is really fun. And I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I do want you to let us know where people can find out about you. Are you on Instagram, Facebook? Do you have a website? All those kinds of contact details.
Yeah, I have a website. It's realfooddesire.com. And that's the same Instagram handle, Real Food Desire.
Okay, nice. Beautiful business name. I like that.
Thanks.
Good. All right. Well, thanks, Jacqui.
Thanks, Dianne.